Alright, welcome back to Comic History. Episode number... this is episode number 91. This one, I teased in the post basically last night. That this one is something to be happy. We're talking about intercompany crossovers. Well, ones that have been released, I've been reading comics in the last 20 years. This is not only intercompany crossovers, but also IDW's famous crossovers with its many franchises they have licensed to in other companies. Let's first start with Marvel. Marvel has had technically 4 in the last 20 years. Only 4. You're like, really? Why only 4? Because the higher-ups were never interested in these damn things at all. The first 2 were released in 05 and 07 respectively, and those stories being Spider-Man Red Sonja, which I think the only reason why Marvel would allow that series to go through was so they can legally collect Marvel Team Up 79. Because that was the only way they can possibly collect this very story, because legally they can't, because they can't publish the character, Red Sonja. Yep. Thinking, okay, what was the other one? New Avengers Transformers, which was canon to the Transformers side, not New Avengers. And then here's the thing about this. Well, they never had anything like this for years until the last couple years. For the next, almost 20 years, there was no crossovers outside of their own stuff. Until the crossovers like Predator versus Black Panther, Predator versus Spider-Man. There's Aliens versus Avengers. Those are like intercompany. There's basically the franchises. There's also been stuff like Ultraman and the Avengers. They did have one released just recently, and you're like, really? Of all the characters to resume the DC Marvel crossovers, they picked Batman and Deadpool. Despite the fact I'm sure people didn't want this one. Like, if they want Deadpool team a character from DC, it would be Deathstroke, not Batman. If I would have chosen basically sequels from the 90s to basically Fallout 2, I would pick Batman Daredevil and Batman Spider-Man. Because those, the case Batman and Spider-Man, I heard that their one-shots sold like hotcakes in the 90s. So insane. But it's only I can think of from Marvel because they haven't done a lot per se. Let's discuss next Boom Studios. Boom Studios has done officially a few, not a lot per se. There's been Planet of the Apes, Kong, where it was a crossover between the classic Planet of the Apes and Kong Skull Island. There's also been Planet of the Apes Tarzan. Yes, Planet of the Apes Tarzan. The only one to have Planet of the Apes was Planet of the Apes Star Trek, which I thought this was really cool. Movies they released close to the same period of time as the original series makes total sense. Oh, there actually is one more for Planet of the Apes. There's actually 4 of these ones. The 4th one, last one I can think of, is Green Lantern Planet of the Apes. Yes, where they evolve Gorilla Grodd in the story, even though he's not a Green Lantern villain. Excuse me, yep. That's the only thing I can think of. Because they haven't really done any more since then, because Planet of the Apes is not published by Marvel. Not Boom Studios anymore. You think, okay, did Boom have any of your series from them cross over with their companies? Aside from Planet of the Apes? Well, they did have a crossover between Escape from New York and Big Trouble in China. But that was basically something that they were publishing at that point. But from their company, none that I could think of, no. There's nothing on my head when it comes to that one. Dark Horse. Aside from the cross between Planet of the Apes and Tarzan, there's been a few out. The only couple I could think of, there has been Batman, Hellboy, and Starman, which has been collected in trade, and Savage Dragon and Hellboy. Let's see. When they had Alien Predator, they did crossover with Judge Dredd. Yep, they did a crossover with Judge Dredd. Okay, so there's been others, definitely. There's been RoboCop and Judge Dredd. In the 90s was Batman, Judge Dredd. That was from the 90s, but that was Dark Horse. That happened like last 20 years. Dredd did have a crossover with Mars Attacks in the last 20 years. He did. A mini-year series by IDW. Image themselves, aside from the crossover they had between Savage Dragon and Hellboy, they never had any other ones I could think of. I mean, actually, there's been one. Batman Spawn, which apparently this was Spawn. This whole idea of the third one came about because the guy who hosts Comic Pop was bugging McFarlane about this for a while. So that's the only I can think of. I think since I've been reading comics, aside from those, the Batman Spawn, the Batman subject Hellboy, that happened back in the 80s, but recently the Spawn Hellboy one is the only I can think of they've actually done. Because most of it's all creator owned stuff. DC, aside from Green Lantern, Planet of the Apes, there's also been Batman 6-6 meets Spirit. Not Spirit, Green Hornet. There's that one. There is Batman 6-6 meets Archie. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, Betty and Veronica. Let's see what else is there. Batman and Emma, Mr. Seed and Emma Peel, which is the Avengers. Batman, Man from Uncle. There's been the two crossovers of Justice League versus King Kong versus Godzilla. Oh wait, Godzilla, there's one from Marvel they released recently. Yeah, I almost forgot about this one. The Godzilla Marvel one-shots they've done recently, which is the first time Marvel's published anything for Godzilla in over 20 years. Let me think here for DC. There's been Justice League Power Rangers. That was a Boom, so I almost forgot about that one. The Boom was also another one I can think of, because I kind of almost forgot about this one. They've had two of these, and that's been Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The only reason why I do this because this was super popular. Of course, Turtles have also crossed over 3 times with Batman. Yes, with Batman. Of course, they have these together crossover with Looney Tunes, obviously. Let me think here. That's what I can think of, mostly. From IDW, they've had many of these outside the box crossovers. Aside from the Turtles ones, they cross over with Batman and Turtles. They've also crossed over with, get this, Ghostbusters twice. They've also crossed over with the Lone Gunman from the X-Files. Yes, this happened. And not counting the Infestation if it wanted to, because that was basically stuff that was connected because these little items. I'm talking about 2 major franchises interact with each other. Of course, obviously, there's been the Hasbro crossovers. There's been 2 major ones: Revolution, First Strike. For Turtles, aside from Ghostbusters and the X-Files, I'm trying to think, was there any major crossover series that they do? None I can think of, no. Ghostbusters crossed over a few different franchises. They crossed over with the Real Ghostbusters cartoon show, the Answer the Call movie, which was a reboot of the original Ghostbusters, and I kid you not. They did cross this one too. Transformers. Yep, they did. For real Ghostbusters, they've done it a couple times with that one. Turtles, of course, they did it twice, obviously. Transformers once, and I believe they've also interacted with the Lone Gunmen as part of this series of one related to the X-Files. Transformers outside of the Hasbro crossovers and the crossover with the Ghostbusters, they've crossed officially with one other major franchise published by IDW, and this was one when I first saw. I'm like, really? They didn't cross it with this one. And this is actually one of 3 books published for that was a spin-off from the movie. That being Back to the Future. Yes. They published the 25-issue ongoing Back to the Future, which was amazing. There is the Emmett Brown miniseries, which is an adaptation of the video game, and of course was this miniseries. Where, get this, they made the DeLorean into a Transformer, which I thought was so cool. But that was another Back to the Future ever did. I mean, I can't think of any other one they did work on. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. Dynamite has mostly done like Greenhorn and the Spirit a couple times. There has also been, of course, the sorts of Sorcery crossover, which was a crossover between all of Dynamite's female characters they publish, as far as I can tell, the ones they currently publish, which is mostly from Miguel Simon, which is awesome, and a bunch of other women. Trying to think, what else was there? There has also been, there was the Red Son and Conan the Barbarian miniseries, which was the first time in years that Conan and Red Son had crossed over each other. Conan also went with Wonder Woman. I almost forgot about that. That was one DC one I almost forgot. I'm trying to think here. Was anyone? I know there's been also Vampirella Red Sonja, Vampirella Red Sonja, Me Betty Veronica. There was a miniseries related to that one. And of course, Vampirella itself was crossover with not only part of the Sword crossover, of course, Red Sonja. She also crossed with Dodger Torres, Ash Williams once. She actually fought the alien xenomorphs. Yes, seriously. She did a crossover where she fought the xenomorphs. That's the only thing I can think of. Oh, she also crossed up with, believe it or not, Dark Shadows. Yes. Let me think here. Zenescopes have their own thing, but they never, as far as I can tell for Zenescope, they never crossed with anybody outside of their own company. Same thing with Valiant. It was going to continue with Valiant as well, where they mostly have interacted with each other. They've never crossed over without. They did this back in the 90s, but not as long as not when I read comics. Let's see. Some I think like, did Star Wars ever cross anybody did they cross like Indiana Jones? They did cross over in a written short fan fiction, but never officially. No, Indiana Jones has never crossed over with Star Wars, and it's kind of the same thing with Star Trek, where for Star Trek, the only ones I could think of the crossover with, there's been a few, of course, besides the Planet Apes one. They also crossed over with Doctor Who. Yes, Doctor Who. They've crossed over with Green Lantern, which seems weird. The Legion of Superheroes. Another weird one. One crossover I really wanted to see, but so far, and this is very bizarre, that somehow Warner Brothers and Paramount cannot. Apparently, they're denying this crossover I really wanted to see. And I'm like, why can't they allow this crossover to happen? Is because that this show is owned by Fox, which I'm sure Disney gave up the rights to that series back to Warner Brothers where it belongs. That being Batman 66 and the original series of Star Trek. I don't know why this crossover's never happened. You think because Batman's crossed over everything else in the 60s, all the major ones. Oh, yeah, by the way, they did also cross over with Wonder Woman 77, which that was published by the company. That was due to a problem. They also went with Bionic Woman. Yes. There's also been, almost forget this one, G.I. Joe and the $6 Million Man. Yes. Trying to think, was there anything on one? I can't really think of any, aside from maybe Star Trek, one time. Doctor Who has never really, up the top of my head, crossed with anybody. You're thinking, really? Yeah, really. Aside from Star Trek one time, with that one miniseries, Assimilation Squared, which I read a lot of. It's a really good miniseries, by the way. They've never done any other one, which is weird. They didn't cross over with their Doctors, per se, which people love those. But not with another series outside of them. And you would think, Doctor Who is published by Titan Books now. Titan Books has got Conan. Why has not been a crossover between Doctor Who and Conan the Barbarian? That's a good question. Because Titan can actually do this, do this crossover, but they choose not to for some reason. Conan, of course, when he published by Marvel, he interacted with a lot of Marvel Universe, which I love the second year they did for Conan. But it was Avengers, had a couple side miniseries. Yeah. I'm trying to think here. Was there any major ones besides those? Oh yeah, they did one recently where I heard this concept. I'm like, that kind of makes sense, but this is so bizarre. We have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossing with Naruto. I'm like, I don't know who's asking for this, but this was a brilliant idea. I never had a chance to finish reading the miniseries, but damn. Such a cool idea. And a lot of people are like, why couldn't this happen sooner? Like, obviously couldn't have happened when the show was airing. Like, the original Naruto series, because that's the version they have of the show. Probably because at the time they couldn't do this because the manga was still being published and Turtle was still published by Mirage. So my guess is that IDW formed a partnership with Viz Media, and that's the reason why they would do this. There's been one where it's so bizarre and so one-sided. Was Avengers Attack on Titan, which I heard was really bad. Yeah. Trying to think. Was there any ones I can think of? So, I'll end this off basically with crossovers that I really wanted to see that so far hasn't happened yet. Of course, obviously, Batman 66 meets Star Trek The Original Series. That is one. Another one, this was kind of teased in live action when Steve Moffat wrote both these two shows at the same time. Doctor Who and Sherlock. Yes, the Benedict Cumberbatch series. They teased this. It was a short release where the TARDIS appeared outside of 22B Baker Street, where Sherlock is like, "Oh, we have a new client," and it's Matt Smith Doctor. That crossover was plausible, given the fact that Sherlock comic book is published by Titan. Despite the fact they published one in some time, I think adapted most. I think they had almost all the episodes they aired for Sherlock, but I think this one is possible. Yes. What other one basically really good? One is a dream one of mine. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover with the Bendis New Avengers lineup pre-Avengers vs. X-Men. The one live they had just after the events of Fear itself, when they had Daredevil on the team. I'm like, that'd be a brilliant idea. Love the idea of that. You could have Spider-Man interacting with Donatello. You could have Luke Cage with Raphael. Obviously, Captain Marvel interacting with April O'Neil. Like, this crossover would be a lot of fun to do, but you probably think Bendis probably would not really care if this crossover having no problem. But that would be a crossover I personally love to see. Any other one? Another one, and I'm surprised Todd McFarlane's never allowed this to happen. Spawn and Venom. But I would have Eddie Brock and the symbiote, not currently Mary Jane. That's what I would do with that one. I'm sure McFarlane, he probably would love to do it, but he does not like Marvel at all. Unless, of course, Marvel makes him a special deal where he gets to be in full control of the story. Any other one I can think of? Would be a really good one. That, as far as I can tell, has not happened yet. For Doctor Who, aside from Doctor Who and Sherlock, I would like to see another one with crossover with Star Trek. That might be interesting. One might be interesting. I would cross over, and this might be really cool to do this, given the fact they're both on the end of the same period of time. I would cross over the Cast Next Generation with the Sylvester McCoy Doctor, because he was a doctor at the time when Next Generation first started. So, why not? Yeah, why not? Aside from wanting another crossover with Star Trek, and of course a crossover with Sherlock, I'm sure people want to see a crossover between Doctor Who and Blake 7, given the fact they both use the same actors, obviously. I do know about other crossovers like Terminator, Superman, RoboCop, Terminator. I do know about those, but those published in the 90s. They're not published the last 20 years. Trying to think if there was anything else. Yes, I definitely would see another Batman and Spider-Man, another Batman and Daredevil one, because the one with Daredevil, that was actually, they were throwing pre-planned. Published that one. People would be fine with that. Yes, I do know about the one with Justice League and Ruby. I know about that one. I'm trying to think here. How about Naruto and Daredevil? That might be a really good idea. And the main villains be the Hand. Yeah, that might be really cool because it's ninja versus ninja. Yes. I'm trying to think. Was there anyone I want to see? But also, that's all I can think of for one of crossovers. But that's pretty much it for today's video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, notifications. Next up, World Country Pumpkin, the Master Swordsman. Okay, let's go. Bye.